Welcome to the Dirt Broadcast. Dig into the bottom of every situation to get to the truth. Here's your host, Jason Mills.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the Dirt Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Mills. We appreciate you joining us tonight. And as always, we're going to give everybody just a couple minutes to get on here and all that kind of good thing. We do appreciate you joining us on the Dirt Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Mills, and good evening. On this fine Tuesday evening at 8 p.m., we hope everybody is doing well out there and enjoying this cool weather we've had for a day or two. Hope you've not got too wet out there in the rain, but like I said, we're just going to give everybody just a couple minutes to get on here and that kind of thing. Get me shared out. Remember to like, share, comment. We appreciate it. Ask any questions you got as we go through the evening, and we definitely appreciate it. And we try to answer each and every question that we possibly can, the best way we can. And those of you who've been following the podcast for a while now know we give nothing but the truth and facts. And if anybody's got any question about that, then they've not known me too well, so or for too long. We do appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Like I said, we'll just give everybody just another minute or two, and we will get started here with the Dirt Podcast. We do have several things going on in Union County that we're going to discuss, and as most of you probably know by now, we do have a special podcast coming up. Exclusive interview. Some might say a bombshell interview coming up Thursday on a special edition of the Dirt Podcast, Thursday night, 8 p.m. So be sure to join us then if we have, or if you have time. Of course, I know a bunch of you watch these podcasts later after the live, but either way, we do appreciate you joining us. And remember, Thursday night, special edition of the Dirt Podcast with an interview at 8 p.m. So remember that. Tell your friends, your neighbors, anybody who might be interested in finding out what's going on out here in Union County in the great state of Tennessee on the Dirt Podcast. Again, we'll just give everybody just about another 30 seconds or so, just so we can get shared out and everybody can find out that we're live. If you are here and you are thinking that tonight's podcast is the interview, this is my regular podcast. The interview will be Thursday night at 8 p.m. So tune in Thursday night for that special edition of the Dirt Podcast. We do have several other things we're going to discuss tonight going on in Union County. So just stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. We appreciate it. And that kind of good stuff. All right, let's get started. Okay. Once again, we do welcome you to the Dirt Podcast. I am your host, Jason Mills. We appreciate everyone tuning in each and every time you tune in. And for all you that are new out there, we do appreciate you liking the podcast on wherever you're watching it from and that kind of thing. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube under the Dirt Podcast name. And we also live on Rumble under the Dirt Podcast UC. Feel free to follow us on any of those. I have been asking folks to kind of tune in on YouTube and Rumble a lot more, only because Facebook deletes my videos now and everybody's videos now after it's 60 or 90 days, whatever it is. Any podcast that we might have filmed live kind of go away after that. And at least on YouTube and Rumble, they can stay. So that's why I'm kind of trying to get everybody to shift over there as much as possible. We do appreciate you joining us in any fashion that you do. And we do appreciate all y'all that watch this podcast later on, not live. We don't forget about y'all, but we do appreciate it. Remember, like, share, comment, ask any question that you might have as we go through the evening. We try to respond to all those as quickly as we can and the best we can. Hello, Ricky. Hope you're doing all right. I know you've been going through some stuff, but do appreciate you tuning in. So thank you. Again, folks, this podcast is my regular podcast, and we do have the special edition podcast, which would be the bombshell interview, if you would, with Miss Katrina on Thursday. So tune in Thursday night, 8 p.m., and we'll have that special edition podcast. You'll hear me say that several times tonight just because I want to get the word out there and people tuning in this podcast, throughout the podcast. They don't always watch the whole thing and that kind of thing. So we do appreciate you. Again, I have not said it in a while, but this podcast is dedicated to my mother. Passed away last July, but I don't go a day without remembering her and missing her. So my podcast, Dirt Podcast, is always and never will be, as long as I'm doing it, dedicated in her memory. So thank you for that. I'm glad to hear that, Mr. Ricky. We can do all things through the God that strengthens us and guides us and leads us, as long as we have faith of a mustard seed, is what the Bible says, I believe. And that's good. You just hold his hand and let him heal you if it be his will, and all those kinds of good things. And either way, I believe the old song goes, I'm a winner either way. So we do appreciate that. Those of you that are new to the podcast, don't know me very well, I am a God-fearing, freedom-loving patriot. I stand up for what I believe is right. I know we've got several people that have came to the page today and liked it and followed it and all that kind of thing. I want to thank each and every one of you. I can only grow with y'all's help. So, like I said, tell everybody about the podcast and get them watching and all that kind of good thing. I do all this podcast, folks, because I want to help the people of Union County understand what's going on in Union County. Sometimes I cover other things, but it's mostly about Union County and that kind of thing. I did share a video we'll talk about in just a minute yesterday. But anyways, so I just want to do my very best to make sure everybody knows what's going on in Union County. And of course, I give you my opinion on different things. And but every time I come to you live on these podcasts, I'm giving you facts. I don't talk about anything without having the facts to back it up. So everything that I say on this podcast is true and factual. I've been called a lot of things, but everything that I've said has been true, been proven true, and continues to be true. And I don't think you can find anybody that can tell. They'll argue with you, tell you I'm wrong, and then find out that I'm right. But that kind of thing. But you know what? What I always say, and those of you that have followed me for a long time know that I say it all the time. I don't want you to believe me. I don't want you to believe a word I say. I want you to get out there and look into it yourself. That's what I want you to do. This is just a springboard for you to get a little bit interested in what's going on. And then I want you to go out there and verify what I'm telling you is correct. And then you can come back and say, hey, you were right. And on the off chance or rare occasion that I might have got something a little bit wrong, or whatever, you can come back and tell me that, and I will correct it, and I will apologize and whatever. But it's not very often that happens. I get out here and I break news to you out there and Facebook, YouTube, Rumble land, and I get commissioners and other folks come after me saying I'm lying, that's not true, and blah blah blah. And then we find out in a few days after that, hey, I was telling the truth, and they just didn't know about it yet, or if they didn't know about it, they didn't want it out yet. We just had that happen with budget and finance, and people resigning from there, and we got called liars, and we were making stuff up and just causing drama and this, that, and the other. And then lo and behold, we finally get these commissioners that was bad mouthing us to come back and say, we just verified what you said was true. And well, at least one of the commissioners did that, and one of the other commissioners actually deleted all his comments calling us liars and so on and so forth. So take it for what it's worth. But like I said, folks, I don't normally come on here and tell you anything that I haven't looked into or got the facts on. Okay, I just want to get that out of the way with all these new folks that have come on the podcast, might not know me very well. So that's that. One of the things I want to talk about, if you go back yesterday, I shared a video, and like I said, I don't do a whole lot for other counties and that kind of thing. Union County is my home. That's why, this side, that's why Union County, is on my flag here. And that's why I live here. My kids go to school here, or did go to school here, and I love it here. Folks talk about me bad mouthing it and whatever. I just hold government accountable. That's what I try to do. And I want them to stop lying to the people, and I want them to stop just taxing us to death. I don't believe in taxes, or without the exhaustion of every other measure. I understand we got to pay taxes, but y'all that know me for a long time know what my values are and that kind of thing. And I try to do the very best I can with these podcasts. But with that being said, like I said, I shared a video yesterday of something that happened several months ago in Blount County. And I did that on purpose because it shows that things that go on here in Union County aren't necessarily just things that happen in Union County. We get some rogue officers in other counties. We get tax increases in other counties for pet projects and all these other kinds of things, just like we do here in Union County. I'm never going to say that what I talk about on these podcasts only affects Union County. So that's why I try to get folks to share these podcasts out to other counties, other family members, other folks, because I want them to get an idea of what they can do in their county to try to combat some of this stuff that they don't necessarily believe in and that kind of thing. And I'm not the only one that can do this. Anybody can do this. But this is just a springboard for them maybe to get a little bit of gumption and a little bit of an idea how to do this. I just get on here and talk. And we've got... we came a long way from what we used to be. I used to just be on my cell phone, and then now I'm on a laptop, and now I actually have, I don't know if you see, I actually have a microphone that I use now, so y'all can hear me a little bit better and that kind of thing. But I don't do anything fancy. This behind me is a green screen. It's just green. That flag's not really there. But I used to, when I first started this podcast, like I said, I did it on my phone, and that flag that you see behind me was actually my background. And that flag right now is over there on that wall, still hanging. And so those that followed me from the beginning used to see that flag, but now it's just a green screen back here. But That's why you see the little green hue around my body, I guess. But anyways, that's just a little side note. But anyways, so I shared a video from Blount County, and also one of my go-tos, Dr. Pepper. Gotta drink it. They don't pay me anything. I don't make anything on these podcasts. It actually costs me money to do these podcasts. For anybody that wants to get into that, I'm going to talk about that in a little while too, because there's something going on in Union County that I think is hilarious. And I just made me a note there so I don't forget. But so the Blount County video, there is a woman who got arrested for whatever reason and got beat up while she was in jail by some officers, right? And there's a video. You can go watch that video, and it explains it all. That's on. It's like 3 or 4 posts under this podcast, I believe, and you can watch it. It shows the camera, and she sued or has a lawsuit going, but so these Blount County officers come to her property trying to serve a warrant, and they're at the wrong address. And one of the officers or deputies that show up and is kind of harassing this woman is one of the officers or deputies that this woman has the lawsuit against. Actually held her in a headlock or pulled her hair or whatever he did. Like I said, go watch the video. It tells you a lot more than I'm going to tell you in this quick little tidbit of information. But it's kind of relevant because Thursday we've got the podcast with the interview of Miss Katrina, and I've talked to her several times, and I feel for her, and my heart goes out to her, and that should never happen. But we'll talk about that more in just a little bit too. But so this woman in Blount County is yelling and screaming at these deputies to get off her property, which is her right. They're there. The law is as far as trespass laws, once they figure out that they're at the wrong property, which she tells them that they're at the wrong address. Her address is this, this, and this, and their warrant is for a different address. And so once the officers find out and verify that that is correct, they're at the wrong address, they have little recourse other than to leave and go about their business and go serve this warrant, whatever, at the proper address. At the point, by law, and it's most trespass laws anywhere, not just Tennessee, but anywhere for the most part, by law, after they learn that they're at the wrong address and they don't leave, now they have broke the law. Once they acknowledge that they're at the wrong address, they have to leave. But instead, these officers in the video continue to harass her, and the officer that actually she has a lawsuit against threatens to arrest her again, and that kind of thing. And like I said, they have no reason to be there. After that acknowledgement that they are at the wrong address, they should leave so they can be charged with trespassing. And they are breaking the law. And so watch that video, make your own opinion. I just thought that was kind of a little bit relevant to what is going to happen Thursday as far as the interview goes. Not the exact same circumstance, but it's just a little bit relevant. And I did that because I wanted to show, like I said, it's not just Union County. It's a lot of places. There's bad apples everywhere, folks, and every position, every job, whether it's government, whether it's Clayton Homes, whether it's UPS, whether everywhere there's a bad apple somewhere. So I'm not just picking on Union County officers or nothing like that. But just give it a look. And like I said, I did it just because I wanted to just show that there's it's not just here. And I didn't want people to start saying that it's because you're so bad on Union County, and that's all you do is talk about how bad Union County is. Actually, I talk about how good Union County is. I just want it to be the best Union County that it possibly can be. And we won't get there if we just continue to bow down and let them tell us what to do and how to do it, and just take it. And I'm not one of those that are going to take it. I'll get on here, I'll go to commission, I'll do whatever I need to do, and speak my piece. Like I say, I'm a patriot and I fight for what's right, and I fight for you, whether you acknowledge I'm fighting for you or anything else. I'm doing it for the right reasons, and that kind of thing. Ricky says, I've seen it. She deserves a good outcome. It's pathetic to see cops act like they're above the law and antagonizing. Yes, they were antagonizing that woman. There's some foul language on the video. Just go ahead and warn you and that kind of thing. But it is worth a watch. I think it's, I don't know, 11, 15 minutes, something like that. I don't know exactly. I don't remember. But check that out. Next thing I want to talk about is I wanted to send my condolences out to the family of Kathy Patton. Those of you didn't watch the news today, 6 o'clock, Channel 10 did a spot on that. Miss Kathy Patton, back a few years ago, was in Union County Jail and ended up passing away. I guess her daughter has filed a lawsuit and is trying to find out what happened, because very mysteriously, and I don't understand why, and she doesn't understand why, the jail report, as far as Miss Patton's passing or situation, she didn't pass immediately at that time, but the jail report differs completely different than the EMS report. I guess the news said that the jail report says that Miss Patton was gray and not breathing, and that kind of thing, or the EMS report says that. The jail report says she was awake and responsive and breathing and everything. So there's a complete different opposite of both reports, and they don't match. And so that's kind of puzzling. And Miss Patton's daughter wants to find out why, and I don't blame her. I'd want to find out why too. I'd want to find out why the jail left Miss Patton on the floor. I heard that it was for over 40 minutes and that kind of thing. It's just a sad situation, and I'm like I said, I want to send my condolences out to this woman's family for their loss. I know it was a few years ago, but my mom passed away a year ago almost, and it still hurts just as much today as it did then, if not more. And so I can understand, and I don't care if a person is in jail or homeless or whatever. They are still human beings, and God says love one another, and I believe in treating everybody with respect, and I don't care if they're in jail, not in jail, whatever, drug addict, alcoholic, whatever. They are still human beings. They still have rights, and those rights need to be honored. And yeah, some people say, well, they're in jail, they don't deserve special treatment. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm expecting them to be treated properly. Those of you that know me for a long time understand that I was a police officer for 8 years. I was a fugitive recovery or a bounty hunter for 3 years after that. I understand law enforcement pretty good. I understand the jail situation. I get all that. I've been on both sides of it. I've been on putting people in jail, and I've been on getting people out of jail. I've talked to these folks, and you know what? I've never, in my 12-ish years almost of law enforcement, whichever side you want to say, I never had a person run from me and get away. And I've never had a person badmouth me for the way I treated them. Actually, and I've told this story many times, I've had people that I put in jail come back when they got out and thank me for how I treated them and that I showed them what kind of person that they really are instead of treating them like trash. I've told the story before of the young woman that I bonded out, and she got in a car accident and was in a coma. And when she came to several days after this car accident, after she came out of the coma, the first thing she did was ask for me. I hadn't talked to her in a couple years. First thing she did was ask for me, gave them my number. I got a phone call. I think it was like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And this young lady had the nurse call me and say, hey, we've got a woman here. She doesn't know who she is. The only thing that she remembered was your name and your number and asked us to call you. And I didn't know who it was. I got in my car, went down to the hospital, and they let me see her. I found out who it was, and that kind of thing. I ended up having to use my bounty hunting skills and track down her dad. And I was the one that notified her dad that she was in the hospital in a coma and that kind of thing. I don't say that to brag on me. I say it to show what kind of respect people can have for you for treating them like human beings, treating them with a little bit of respect, with a little bit of care, and a little bit of honor. That's the way I think everybody should be treated. Now, you get in situations and you can't do that. I understand that. I've been in those fights, and I've been in those foot chases. You don't know what's hiding around the corner, and you cuss at them and you do all this. That's fine and dandy. I get that. But once you get to the point that they're in custody and everything is safe, you don't have to cuss them and treat them like dogs and beat on them and do all these crazy things. There's no reason for that. And so I just want to, like I say, send my condolences to the Patton family. I'm going to follow this lawsuit the best I can. And it just boggles my mind how you can have a jail report and an EMS report say something so completely different. Not even close to each other, but so completely different. How can you have one report that says that this woman was alert, breathing, responding, and another report that says she was gray and not breathing and on death, right? It just boggles my mind. And of course, the sheriff had no response. That's the normal thing with sheriffs or chief of police, fire departments, elected officials. Their comment is, well, it's an open investigation. We can't comment, blah, blah, blah. Go see the county attorney. Go see whatever attorney. And you don't get an answer out of them either. But like I said, I want to follow this. I'll keep y'all posted as much as I possibly can. And so we'll see what happens with that lawsuit. And I want to say this too. A lot of people have been saying, because this young lady is suing for $300,000. I hear a lot of people saying, well, that's not enough. That's not what a life is worth and all this kind of thing. I have learned with the death of my mother, so I'm speaking from personal experience on my side. Could be different with the jail situation, but just on my side, on a wrongful death in the state of Tennessee, for those of you who don't know, the hospital poked a hole in my mother's heart and basically killed her. But I can't get an attorney to take her case because it's so hard to get an attorney to file a case against a doctor. But anyways, what I've learned through that process is that max you can get in the state of Tennessee on a wrongful death case is $300,000. So she's asking for the max, and so I just want to throw that out there as well. They could probably sue for some other things, maybe, I don't know, depending on whatever investigation goes on and all that kind of thing. But just for a wrongful death case, the max in the state of Tennessee is $300,000. And like I said, there might be some other things that could play into that situation as far as the jail stuff goes. But in my personal case, that's what I have learned. So I hope that answers some folks' questions about why it wasn't more or whatever. Another thing I want to discuss is county commission meeting is this coming Monday, okay? This coming Monday, I expect, or I hope that as many of you as possible can show up at the county commission meeting on Monday and fill that courtroom as full as possible. Why? Because it's important that you know what's going on. It's important that you show up, and then you can watch this podcast the next day and make sure I'm telling everything correct. Because if I'm not, then I want you to tell me right there in the comments. I can see Facebook. I can see some YouTube comments. I can't see Rumble comments until I go back, because Rumble is kind of separate. I can go to Rumble after the podcast and respond to those comments. But I see YouTube and Facebook comments here. So I expect you got a question. I expect I say something wrong. Write it in the comment. I will see it. I will probably read it if it's a question or something like that right here during the podcast. Y'all can communicate with me all day long right there on them comments, and I appreciate it. We appreciate you watching. Miss Dyke, Miss Hill, we appreciate you joining us and being here. Ricky, you're talking a lot today, which I appreciate. That's great. But yes, all that situation with Miss Patton was horrible. So commission meeting Monday. I hope and pray there's a packed courthouse. Why? Because one, like I said, I want y'all to be there to find out what's going on with your local government, what they're doing with your money, what they're doing. Tax increases are going to be coming. I guarantee that. So they're getting ready to start working on the budget. I expect y'all to be questioning why they ain't trying to make cuts, especially with the way the economy is, especially when the mayor wants to go around claiming that he's got $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 going to be in the piggy bank, or $1 million in the piggy bank, and why we got to still have a wheel tax that's supposed to be sunshining, but now all of a sudden, because we got to pay for a new middle school, it's not, and all these other things that you might have questions on. You need to be there. You need to find out why. You need to speak up. And that's why we get in the situations that we get in, because we just let them do whatever. And here we are. They're going to, and this is especially important for Union County, but especially important for the folks up in the chapel, and especially up in the 13th. Y'all need to get down here in the courtroom at county commission meeting at 7 p.m. on Monday and let them know that you need your elected law enforcement to be saved. You need to be there telling them folks that you want to keep the constables, that you have a great constable out there in John Dennis, that he does a great job. Sometimes, most of the time, he's the only law enforcement y'all are seeing. If y'all want to keep him, if y'all want to keep that kind of a personal representative, because you're voting for him, If you want to keep that, you need to be at this county commission meeting. You need to be voicing your opinion. Don't let them do this without a fight, folks. Monday night, 7 o'clock. Be there. I'm not going to dwell on the constables. Everybody knows my position on the constables. But here's what I am going to say. I'm going to say that I don't believe that elected body, county commission, should be able to abolish another elected official that we vote for. Why should they have the power to decide to do away with something that we, the people, elected? This happened in 1985, folks. That gave county commission, 1984, that gave county commission the power to do this. Well, like I said, everybody knows my opinion on county commission or on constables, right? So I don't have to go through all that all over again. But here's what's new. I am tired of county commission being bullies, and I am tired of county commission thinking that they can just do what they want and we just have to bow down to it, right? I am tired of county commission thinking that they can throw the word around so much liability to make us so scared. So what have we learned just in the past week or two, right? We've learned that the constable was being blamed for this wreck on the bridge, 33 Bridge. And county commission was throwing around that their liabilities because of said wreck. But then we learned that the constable is not even part of the lawsuit. He's not being sued. They dropped him out of it. Why? Because he did nothing wrong. You can agree with me, disagree with me, have your opinion on John Dennis all you want to. Bottom line is county commission is an elected body by us. Constables are an elected official by us. Those elected officials, county commission, should not have the right to take away something that we also voted for. In that case, then why can't we abolish county commission? Why can't we take them away and say, we don't like what you're doing? You raised our taxes every past year for 8 years because you've been a county commissioner for 8 years. Why can't we abolish them? Why can't we abolish them for lying to us? Why can't we abolish them for doing some things that they shouldn't be doing? Well, that fact, the sheriff is an elected official. Why can't we abolish the sheriff? He's done plenty wrong. You remember the whole test thing several years ago? Why didn't we abolish him then? Because constables do not answer to county commission. Constables do not answer to anybody but we, the people that elect them. County commission does not like that. Fine. We worked hard to put in place checks and balances for county commission or for constables. Not only here locally in Union County, which county commission has never used. Never used. You remember, folks, that I worked really hard and I started the Union County Constable Association. I spent hundreds of dollars to do that. I spent lots of time to do that. I did all kinds of things to do that. County commission has never reached out to the Union County Constable Association. Never. Tennessee Constable Association comes in, offers to do a workshop that the commissioners asked them to do. And then not one county commissioner showed up. Not one. None. Zero. And they asked for it. That's nonsense. That shows that they just think that they can snowball everything, smoke and mirrors, make people think that they're doing the right thing when they're doing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons. I'm fed up with it, if you couldn't tell. I am fed up with it. Not that the fact that we should have constables, we shouldn't have constables, nada. That's not my point right now. My point is county commission should not have that power to take our elected law enforcement away from us. So what I did what everybody should be doing. I reached out to my representative, Dennis Powers, in the state house. I had a good conversation with him. I had several conversations with him. I explained my thoughts. He actually told me that he thought it was unconstitutional that they had the power to do that in the first place. In my very 5-minute or less phone call with him, the very first one. And he said, let me look into some things and I'll get back with you. Well, then he got back with me. And then we had some more discussions. And then yesterday he texted me and he said, can I get you to help me look up some things and that kind of thing? I am actually on the House floor trying to find out information for you. Hey, we actually got a representative that was actually doing something to represent we the people. He was actually doing what we sent him to Nashville for. To fight for us. Fight for Union County, whether you agree with constables or not. Not the point. So I appreciate Dennis Powers for doing this. So what did that conversation, some of you probably seen the conversation because my good friend Jeff Brantley posted it. I gave him permission to do that. But so after our conversation yesterday, when he told me he was on the House floor and asked me to look up some things for him and this, that, and the other, he came back and said, yes, it was changed in 1984. Public Chapter 904, and they can abolish it. Which means he's talking about county commission. Public Chapter 904 in 1984 gave county commission the power to abolish constables. There's a whole backstory to that, folks. I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but the Sheriff's Association back in 1970 something, 76, I think, actually pushed for this to start changing. Why? Because constables didn't have to answer to anybody. They wanted rid of constables and justices of the peace at the time. And so they pushed for this. And then we ended up getting this to happen. You know what else they did? I learned this too. I just learned this today. Some of these politicians that were trying to do all this stuff to constables at the time actually reached out to a lot of these insurance companies and had them change their insurance rating to where it made the constables the highest risk to insure. They did that on purpose because they were trying to get away or do away with this office in the first place. Why? Because you remember before 1976-ish, constable was the only person or office that could arrest a sheriff at the time. You remember that? You've heard that a million times. Well, in 1976 when this started changing. And like I said, it was started by the Sheriff's Association at the time. So then we continue, we get down the road, and they've got to make it harder for constables. Well, then we start taking funding away from them, just like Union County did, took their $17 a month gas allowance away. What else did Union County do? They refused to put constables, the only elected office in Union County that is not on county insurance. See how that ties together, folks? Same thing state did years ago, all the way right here in Grand Old Union County, doing the same tricks that they've done for years. Why? To do away with a position that they cannot control. Well, here's the problem. Can they control the sheriff's department? here we are. We've got Sheriff's Department, got a lawsuit for wrongful death. We got a lawsuit for this, a lawsuit for that. There's so many lawsuits out there right now, I can't keep up. And then we've got this tasing incident. We've got this young girl we're going to interview Thursday right here on the Dirt Podcast, 8 p.m. Tune in. What's going to happen with it? We got rogue officers, rogue deputies out there just tasing people willy-nilly. She's not the only one, folks. I know of several more, and we're going to discuss those on Thursday. Matter of fact, I know an officer that got tased by said officer because he's taser happy. We'll discuss more of that Thursday. Back to my conversation with Mr. Dennis Nicely, or Dennis Power, sorry. Dennis Nicely used to be a deputy. So I asked him, I said, how can we get that changed? I don't feel it's constitutional, which I've been screaming, nor do I think an elected body like commission should be able to abolish another body elected by the people. What I've been screaming. He said we would have to pass a bill to change it next year. Why next year? Because they're about out of session. They don't have any more time until they come back. That's a big vacation. They don't do vacations. They come back, they work in their communities, all that kind of stuff. I'm just being facetious. Anyways, so when he comes back next year, they'll have to do that. I said, well, what can I and the people I fight for here in Union County and other places do to help get that changed? He said, I can do it for you next year. I said, thank you so much. He said, please remind me around the first of the year and I will work on it. I said, will do. That's a commitment from our elected official in the state house, Dennis Powers, and we're going to hold him to it. I know I've heard, well, as soon as a certain commissioner, if the mayor gets a hold of him, he's going to change his tune and all this. Right there. I've got a record of it right here on this podcast. I've got a record of it. And let me tell you, there's some other representatives and state senators out there that want to fight for these constables too. Because it's a constitutional office, or used to be, until they changed it back in 1976. It's about our elected officials, folks. It's about our power. They're trying to take our power away from us. I'm not being a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. It's fact. They're trying to take our power away from us so they have more power. Why do I say that? Who controls the sheriff, really? County commission, mayor? Who controls the constables? We do. How do we? We elect them. We pick them. Do we do a good job all the time? No, we absolutely don't. Have I said it many times that some of these constables that we have here in Union County should never have been elected? Yes, I have. Do they do their job? No, they don't. We have one, maybe two constables right now that do a good job. We had another one out here in the 4th that did a great job. His name is Hank, and he worked his butt off out here. Did some great. Actually, the UNL did several stories on some of the things that he was doing out here and for you and us to keep us safe. But unfortunately, because constables don't get paid anything, they do it for free, and they pay for all their training and all this other stuff that you already know. He had to take a job, and unfortunately, this job took him to another state. So therefore, we don't have a constable currently in the 4th District. Right now, the one that works on a regular basis is John Dennis. Daniel Rice is a constable, and I think he works when he can, and he's a firefighter in Knoxville and does all this other stuff. with Paulette and all this. So I understand there's not a lot of time to work a free job. But John Dennis gets out there. He does a lot of good things. Those of you that watch this podcast and live out there in the 13th, you can back me up in the comments if you want, or even in the chapel. You can back me up on these in the comments if you want. Most of the time, John Dennis is the only law enforcement y'all see out there. I'm not knocking the deputies. I'm just saying there's 3 officers on at a time, 3 deputies on a shift. If they're tied up on a wreck in Manorville Highway, they don't have officers over there. Not only that, if you're in an emergency, you got somebody breaking in your house or whatever, you call 911, dispatches somebody. Who's going to be the first one to you? Most likely it's going to be John Dennis because he lives out there. And that's the way constables should be set up. That's the way they're supposed to be. They should be in their area that the people elected them to be, doing their job the way they should. Like I said, I will be the first one to tell you that all these constables that are currently elected do a good job, because they don't. They don't do anything. One of them is a Union County government plant. Was put in that position and then made sure to keep that position after this last election. He didn't do a thing. Nothing. And then what happened? His girlfriend, wife, whichever one she is, ended up using the county credit card, going on a spending spree and all this kind of stuff. But that's the elected constable that made sure to get in there. It said, most likely a bullet if they break into your house. I normally would say something to that to make sure something else happens, but I won't at this point in time. It's not, it is about constables, but it's not about constables, folks. It's about taking our power away from us. And we can't let them do it. Mr. Powers also had the conversation with me that constables are the oldest elected official in the entire state of Tennessee. Not mayor, not county commission, not sheriff. The oldest elected official in the state of Tennessee is a constable. Why would we decide that because we just don't like a person or whatever, and then we'll throw the liability word out and then decide that we don't need them anymore? I heard that, Miss Beeler. I've not been well, quite frankly, that's between him and the mayor. I don't know. That's mayor's right-hand man, so I couldn't tell you. That's all I'm going to say about that. Jeff Brantley said Constable Dennis is the best law enforcement we've ever had in the 5th District. Why? One good officer can work to great good. On the flip side, if you got some bad officers, they can destroy a whole department. Why would we want to have less law enforcement? Why would we want to have less safety in our community? I don't understand it. Because they're liability. John Dennis, or no constable in Union County has ever been sued, as far as I know. I've not gone back years and years and years, but as far as I know, no constable has been sued. How many times has the sheriff's department been sued? A lot. If my memory serves me correct, in the entire state of Tennessee, in the past many, many years, there's only been less than a handful of incidents that actually involved constables. So how are they the biggest liability? And like I say, you can have your opinion on constable all you want to. My fight is about our power and the Constitution, and county commission should not have the power to abolish another elected official, period. Ms. Hill says, John Dennis is a vet working with no pay. Very good guy. John has everything against him. No Union County support, but the elected people. If at this point, if that was my family member, I would say piss off this job. But John is for Union County. Does a great job. John needs our support. And that's why I tell everybody that can get down to county commission on Monday at 7 p.m. to even before that. Y'all want to protest outside? We've done that many times. Do that. Make your signs. You support constables. You support John. Whatever you want them to say, feel free to do it. They can't stop you. Remember last time we had a protest down there? They had deputies everywhere because they thought we were going to cause a riot. We peacefully protest. That's what we do. We don't go down there to throw Molotov cocktails and throw rocks. We don't do that. That's not the people we are. We are people that peacefully protest, but we demand to be heard. Period. So I'm going to switch gears here. Get off the constable situation, commission situation. Now that I got through one can, got to open another. Something else I want to bring up. Something's been going around by certain individuals. Whether they like me or dislike me, they tell me all the time they like me. They support me. But then you're going around and you're talking about supporting the constables only because I'm getting money in my pocket. I want to clarify one thing. Not one time have I got a dime in my pocket from anything that I have done to support, educate, give knowledge to anything on these podcasts, protests, anytime I've been on the news, when I fought for the children that were getting bullied in school. I have not got a dime for any of it. But somebody is out there running their mouth saying my pockets are getting filled because my support of the constables. Let me tell you, I told somebody earlier I was going to get on here and I was going to make jokes about my new $1 million house that's getting built, and my Tesla's out here in the driveway, and my brand new boat that I'm getting. And I was going to make a joke that I was going to get a party bus, a brand new party bus, and I was going to have it drove down to county commission meeting every month, and we were going to have an after party after every county commission meeting and all this kind of stuff. Just because it just blows my mind how people think Mercedes. I don't want no Mercedes. I'm going to get a Tesla. I don't want to have to pay all that gas money. And have you seen my electric bill lately? Anyways, it's just all in fun, folks. I don't make a dime. Like I said earlier, it actually cost me money to do these podcasts. I can't tell you how many times I've got a bill for $1,000 or more because I asked for some public records. I don't pay it because I'm not crazy, but a lot of what I do actually cost me money. I actually not only cost, like, here's an example, and it's not a lot of money, folks, as far as these podcasts goes. This podcast every Tuesday night, just to do this podcast, and like I said, I'm not complaining, nothing like that, because this is my passion. This is what I do. This is how I help my community, right? Just to do this podcast, it cost me $17.99 because of the program that I use. Every Tuesday, before I can even go live, I got to get out my little debit card and I've got to pay $17.99 to do a podcast. If I go get a public document, they charge me the copy fees. They charge me for whatever time it takes for them to make the copies or pull whatever records. It costs me time. I have to take away from my family or my job or anything else. It costs me to do this. But we got somebody out here that wants to talk about I'm lining my pockets. I wish that was the case. I'd love to go on vacation right now, but I can't. I've got a job. I've got things to do. I've got bills to pay. It's nonsense. Again, folks, I said that, and I'm not going to say names or anything like that. It's not worth my time, but it's just funny to me, and I just wanted to set the record straight for anybody who might even read the comments that they've been posting or anything else that might have had even a thought for a second that it was true. I want to set the record straight. I don't get anything. Never have got anything. I think when I was with the coalition and that kind of thing, I think Stephanie offered to buy me an ice cream one time. I might have got that a time or two, but I've never got a dime. We've asked for some donations sometimes when I was with the coalition, and that kind of thing. I never got a dime from anybody for doing this. Never. Maybe one day I'll be fancy like Dan Bongino and all this, and get some sponsors and all this kind of thing and get big time. But here in little old Union County, I doubt seeing that ever in my lifetime. But it just blows my mind. I start seeing these comments and they can't come out and say names, right? So they won't call me by name, but they do it in jest and say that group or that person, or he stands up for the constables or whatever. On those podcasts. Yeah, these are my podcasts. You got a problem with my podcast? Come on my podcast. Somebody said to get them on the podcast in the comments there. Come on my podcast. We'll debate it all day long. I don't have a problem debating anybody. We had back in 22 when I was running for county commission, we had a commissioner I ran against. I actually challenged her to a debate on my podcast. And I even said we could do it outside the podcast. We'd do it anywhere she wanted to, but they wouldn't debate me because they knew what I was saying was true. They knew they couldn't back their stuff up with facts because I was telling the facts, and it made them look bad. Not only that, election night, you go back and watch the UNL video. I still have it, actually. I still laugh about it because I watch it occasionally, just when I'm feeling a little bit down and I want a good chuckle. We had our Republican leader here in Union County, which I actually, my personal opinion, think he's a Democrat. But anyways, our Republican leader here, County Commissioner Sidney Jesse, got on the UNL video live and said, I want to speak about, that's not how he sounds. So anyway, I want to speak about there's a group in this county that's done nothing but try to destroy it. And they say that they asked everybody that was running to give an interview and blah, 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 but they never let me on there. Lies. We offered everybody that wanted to come on the podcast to be interviewed a chance. Never once has he reached out. Matter of fact, bringing that more current, because that was 22, just 2 weeks, last week's podcast, he was one of the ones that I invited to come on this podcast to give his side of the story to everything. Constables, tax increases, what's going on with the jail. I gave him an opportunity to come on this podcast. Guess what? Still crickets. I have not heard a peep back from him. That's how they work, folks. They think if they can intimidate you enough, or if they can make you look bad enough, or if they get enough people to turn against you, that you'll shut up. And yeah, I disappeared for a little while because I had some personal things, my mom and some other things going on. I did disappear for a little while. But it wasn't because of them. It was because of things I had going on. And I just needed the break. They don't intimidate me. Matter of fact, I was threatened today. If I did this podcast on Thursday with my special guest that's coming up, I was threatening if I continue to do that podcast, and if I did that podcast, I would pay, whether it's legally or what have you. Guess what? I don't care. I'm not afraid of any of them. Bring it on, because I know my rights. I will stand up for my rights. I have every right to expose everything that they do. I will thank them for when they do things right, but they do not scare me. They do not intimidate me. I've been told many times, you better shut your mouth. Somebody's going to come kill you one of these days. If that be the Lord's will, then that be the Lord's will. But let me tell you, I'm not scared. They don't scare me. They don't intimidate me. They try to. When I started my first podcast back, and I get a phone call and a threatening text message from this same commissioner, and he forgot who he was talking to. He thought he could intimidate me into shutting up talking about him. But guess what? I didn't. Here I am still talking about his negativity. My foundation is strong. I know what kind of person I am. I know all of you don't really know me that well, and that kind of thing. I know me. Some of you I do know, and I have known for quite a while. Jeanette, I've known for a long time. Jeanette Beeler, her daughter Cynthia there, Stephanie. I've known them from back when I owned my auction company. And I had an auction 2-3 times a week. And one of the very first things that I did every time I had an auction was we started that thing out with prayer. Sometimes I even get wound up and I start preaching. My foundation is strong on my Lord and Savior, and I will continue to fight for what I believe in. I will continue to fight for the people of Union County. I will continue to fight for the children, future generations of Union County. I may or may not run for elected office ever again in my life. But if I do, it's not because I want to. It'll be exactly because I feel it's the right thing to do for you and for me, my family, your family, our future generations. You go back and watch any of my podcasts from 2022 on the Freedom Coalition's page, and I'd say the same stuff there I say right now, because I am me. I don't change for anybody. I don't get intimidated, and I get tired of the nonsense. And that's exactly right. We don't always agree, and that's what makes America great, because we can agree to disagree and still be friends. We can still have a conversation, and it's all about debating one another to get each other's opinions, and maybe we merge those opinions and make an even better opinion. Miss Cynthia, your daddy, he used to love to come to the auctions too. I could tell you a story sometime. Remind me. I'll tell you a story one time that where me and him got into it. It's a funny story now, but anyways, remind me sometime. I'll tell you. But it is what it is, folks. I don't let people bother me. Like I said, the only reason I brought that whole money thing up was because I didn't want people to even think for a second that was true. I own my own business. I barely make it. I make enough money to pay my bills. Half the time, I have to rob Peter to pay Paul and put some bills off just like you do. Miss Martha, I say that all the time. And why can we pray and say the Pledge of Allegiance before these meetings, but not in school? Taking that stuff out of our public schools was the worst thing that I think this country ever did. When you start taking God out of things start going to hell, right? Literally. And I don't care what religion you are. If you believe in whatever way you believe in, that's perfectly fine. But like I say, my foundation's firm on the Lord Jesus Christ saving my soul. And you're gonna try to get me preaching here. I gotta calm down. I am a preacher, have been a preacher. I used to be an evangelist, used to preach on the radio and all this kind of stuff. Preached at many churches, used to do a lot of singings in Knoxville many years ago. Actually, if you listen to the AM 900 radio station, WKXV, if you listen to Eddie Manuel on that Southern Gospel radio station, they have an FM channel now. I don't know what it is, but if you listen to that station, you listen to that voice, Eddie Manuel, that's on there. He is the exact same voice that does my opening and closing on my podcast. Everything I tell y'all, folks, is true. It's fact. But I agree with you, Miss Hill. I don't understand why that was ever taken out. You took it out, and you see what it's got us. It's got us all this nonsense. And I wish somebody, and some places have, actually took the stand and started putting prayer back or start putting the pledge back. And it's just the same thing. You start saying the pledge, but you couldn't use the line under God anymore. What kind of BS is that, right? Take God out of things, all things go to hell. Just my opinion. All right, let's get on to some more stuff here real quick. Just some real quick hits because we've been on here a long time, I guess. Did that. Commission meeting, I'm going to keep repeating it. Monday, 7 p.m. Be there. Special podcast this Thursday, 8 p.m. Miss Katrina is going to be our special guest. We're going to talk about what happened to her. The title, if you haven't seen the title of that podcast on Thursday, I cleverly named it, or I thought I cleverly named it. I got to pat myself on the back. It's called Beauty and the Union County Beast. So tune in Thursday, 8 p.m. for that. I have seen that video. I actually have that video. As long as her attorney says it's okay, I am going to play that video Thursday during the podcast. That's how we're going to open the podcast. I'm going to open it with that video, and then we're going to discuss it afterwards. But let me tell you, to see how they treated this young lady is despicable. And if I would have seen that in person, I'd probably be in jail right now too, because I would have had to say something. I would have had to do something. And if that was my daughter or something like that, I don't know what would have happened. But let me tell you, when you see this video, you're gonna say, wow, it's shameful. And there's going to be more information about that video we'll reveal Thursday, and that kind of thing, and we'll discuss some more about that. Also, a couple more quick hits as far as that incident, because I've seen a lot of misinformation going on, and I like to clear it up. So the deputy that did most of the abuse, if you will. His name is Ashton Lambert. There's been a lot of confusion about what has happened with that deputy. Okay, so I've heard some folks say that the sheriff's department has told them that he was not terminated. I actually heard that they told the news yesterday that he was not terminated. I did verify a few hours ago before the podcast that he was terminated. So Ashton Lambert, former Union County deputy, and the other deputy's name was Connor Nicely, and he was suspended. And we'll talk more about that Thursday. So keep on staying tuned for that. Update on the Republican Party stuff. You know, I told you last week they told me that they would mail me the ballot so I can make sure that they got the correct ballots and all that kind of good stuff. I still ain't got them. They must have forgot to mail them to me. I don't know, but I still haven't got them. Nor have I heard anything else about it. So, you know, out of sight, out of mind, I guess. They don't worry about me here in little old Union County trying to raise a fuss about wrong elections. One more important thing, just real quick, very important. But you know, 911 just had a meeting, and some of you all reached out to me saying, hey, did I hear that correct? Did I hear that 911 is buying all their employees' cell phones, iPhones, whatever? I did verify that is incorrect. They are not buying their employees' cell phones. I think it was just the audio, maybe, because I watched the 911 video. I know what y'all were talking about. The audio was horrible. You could barely hear it. I actually went and Bluetooth my phone to one of my vehicles, and I turned the volume all the way up in the vehicle to try to hear what was being said, and I still couldn't hear it. So there's that. Hopefully that clears that up for some of y'all. I know Miss Beeler, you're one of the ones that asked me about it. So hopefully that clears that up. One of the other things, I want to hit this real quick. It's very important. And I just learned this, and I'm still digging into it. But, you know, a while back, I did a big fight with 911, and it was back when Billy and Andrew still had 911, and I demanded, and I called the state. You remember all that when I was fighting 911 about doing CPR, giving instructions of CPR. Hope y'all folks remember me talking about that and being really mad about that, because at the time, under Billy's and Andrew's authority, dispatchers were not allowed to give you information or instructions on how to give CPR if you called 911. And then, you know, we put pressure on them, and we called, and actually Dennis Powers was one of the ones I reached out to, and he actually sent a letter to Andrew and the mayor and Billy and all of them, and demanded that they start doing it because they were breaking the law, and demanded that they made 911 start giving out CPR instructions. Well, here's the newest thing that I learned. If you call 911 and you have somebody choking and you need to do the Heimlich maneuver and you don't know how, and you ask them for instructions, it's gonna blow your mind. Hang on. The way 911 is currently set up, and the 911 chairman of the board is trying to get this changed, so don't jump all over 911. I just want you all to understand and be aware of. If you don't know how to do the Heimlich maneuver, you call 911 because your loved one is choking and you need help. They are not allowed to tell you or give you instructions on how to do the Heimlich maneuver. That's crazy. Why you got 911? Why call 911 if you can't do what you need to do? That's my rant, folks. On that, I don't want to spend too much time on that because I know that the new chairman is trying to get that changed. But in case something happens and you have the unfortunate circumstance of not knowing how to do the Heimlich maneuver, and you need to call 911 and tell them, hey, I need to know how to do this, they can't tell you. But hopefully we get that changed just like we did CPR as quickly as possible and that kind of thing. So anyways, I guess I kept y'all long enough. We appreciate you joining us tonight. Remember to like, share, comments. I appreciate it. Share me out. Tell your friends and neighbors about this podcast. I appreciate it. Tell everyone you know. Like I said, I am on Facebook and YouTube under The Dirt Podcast. I'm under Rumble under The Dirt Podcast UC. I would prefer, if you can, to follow me on YouTube or Rumble, only because Facebook deletes these videos after 60, 90 days, whatever it is. But you can continue to watch me on Facebook too. That's great. I get choked on all their bullshit. I understand. One more thing. Do remember to continue to pray for Andrew Woods. He needs all the prayers he can get. He's a good guy. Sheriff's deputy and firefighter and all these good things. Andrew does everything he can to help as many people as he can. And he needs our help right now. So remember to pray for him. I greatly appreciate it. And with that, tune in Thursday night, special edition of the Dirt Podcast with a special guest interview, bombshell interview, and find out what all is going on with that. And every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. I'm your host, Jason Mills. Remember to pray for me. I'll pray for you. Thank you. Good evening and good night.
You just heard The Dirt, digging to the bottom of every situation to get the truth with your host, Jason Mills. Tune in next week at the same time for another Dirt broadcast.